Welcome to the Calculus A section. In this section, we will be dealing with the chain rule. Now, we've been taking the derivative for the past couple of sections with single or basic functions. Now, we will be dealing with the derivatives of functions within a function. So, what if we needed to find the slope or the rate of change or the derivative of the following function? F of x is equal to x squared minus 1 in a square root. So, knowing what we know, we're going to try to differentiate this function. So we can rewrite this function as f of x is equal to x squared minus 1 times to the half power. So we know our exponent rule, so we can say that f prime of x is equal to 1/2 times x squared minus 1 times 1/2 minus 1. And that will give us 1/2 x squared minus 1 over time to the negative 1/2 power. But that is not the correct derivative. In order to differentiate a function within a function, we have to use what is called the chain rule. So suppose we have two differentiable functions, f of x and g of x. Okay. And if we define f of x to equal f of g of x, then the derivative of f of x is equal to f prime of x is equal to f prime of x g of x, my apologies, times g prime of x. Now this is a little confusing, and maybe that's because of how I wrote it, or maybe because of how I said it. But essentially, what I'm saying is the derivative of the function of g of x within f of x multiplied by the derivative of g prime of x. So we can split our function f of x into f of x and g of x. So initially f of x is normally going to be something along the lines of square root of x in our situation, and our g of x is going to be x squared minus 1. Now this works because f of g of x will equal the square root of x squared minus 1. So if we take the derivative of these separately, so we can say g prime of x is equal to 2x, and f of x, f prime of x, is equal to 1 over 2 rad x. Then we can multiply these two together when our g of x is inside of our x, and we can have our chain rule. So basically what we're saying is that f prime of g of x is times g prime of x is equal to the actual derivative of f prime of x, which is our original function right here. So basically what we're saying is 2 over 2 square root x squared minus 1, which would give f of g of x times g of prime of x is equal to 1 over square root x minus 1. And that is the correct derivative of the function. If you need more help, there's a bunch of resources on the website, and I hope that helps. Thank you.